Hi, this is Brett Kramer from Discreet Prepper. Thanks for tuning in. At Discreet Prepper, we build discreet, everyday carry survival solutions. We want to make sure you have the emergency gear necessary to handle most situations and to get you or your loved ones home safely. And we want to make sure that gear is within arm's reach. Today we're going to be looking at some survival tips and tricks. Today we're going to talk about a paint can heater. I've been seeing the videos online, and I've been thinking, how can I make this a little better? One thing I remembered is when I had my boat years ago, I had a stove inside the boat that was worked on denatured alcohol. You pour the denatured alcohol into these 3 stoves in the boat, or 3 inlets in the boat, and inside there it had kind of a fibrous filter that you never replaced. The only thing that really dried up or went bad was it ran out of alcohol. So you just poured more alcohol in it, and the wick was always fine, and you never had to replace it. Now, I've seen a lot of videos where they say they've used a whole wad of toilet paper here, a whole roll of toilet paper, and they put it in the can, they fill it up, they light it on fire, they let it sit, and they give you a time of about 2 hours. So they say this thing will burn for 2 hours, but then when you look down inside, the toilet paper will burn all the way down in, and you can't use it again. So I'm trying to figure out, is there a way that we could make a heater that's easy to carry and it's reusable, that has maybe more substance to it as far as a wick. Now, the wicks I used to see when I was in my boat was, it almost looked like a fiberglass. It wasn't a fiberglass, but it was fibrous, and I guess a heavy cotton of some sort. And when you see wicks on a kerosene heater or a wick in a hurricane lantern, you would see it's a cloth. It's not something as flimsy as toilet paper. So I'm going to try 2 different ideas today. One, this can, which is way lighter compared to this one. This is Bounty. I looked at the 2 here, and I thought between these 2, toilet paper seemed a little too mushy. Bounty had a little more rigidness to it. And I thought maybe this is a heavier item here, a thicker item. It might last longer than the toilet paper. So I took a roll Bounty, cut it in half with an X-Acto knife, or a blade, cut the thing in half, took the tube out, and put it inside the can. This one over here, this is painter's cloth. I thought this is more like a wick. So I tried the painter's cloth. When I took the painter's cloth, it came in a big sheet, big stack of them. I cut it in half, rolled it up, add a couple extra pieces from this one, and jammed it down inside. When there was still more room in there, I opened up the hole and I rolled up some more and jammed more in here. So as you can see, if I can get this on video nice and clear, where's the camera? Here we go. This is jam-packed with a cotton, okay? Solid. And I thought if we could reuse this as a wick, and you don't let it burn that much, or just take off the cinder parts on the top, you can reuse this and reuse this and reuse this, and all you have to do is bring a couple bottles of alcohol with you. It's safe to breathe. It's not like you're using propane, where if you put it in your tent, it'll kill you. You got to look at something that's safe to use, that if you're out in the wilderness and you need some instant heat, you need something to cook on, you want something safe, you might not want a big fire to give away a position, or you may not want to have smoke. You may want to have something just small enough to heat yourself and your food or your drink, or to boil your water, and this probably is going to be the best solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 different tests tonight. That'll be part 2. One is going to be the Bounty paper towel, and the other is going to be this painter's cloth I got at Lowe's. This is called Pro Perfect medium rags. Let me see if I can let you see what it is. Hold on. Pro Perfect medium rags, and these are 100% cotton. It's a 10-pack, and I got more than half of this in the can. It made it substantially heavier, but this may be a great wick. Now, I also did a test last night between 91% alcohol and 70%. I lit 2 cotton balls on fire, one with the 91% alcohol, the other with the 70% alcohol. They both burned about the same. The 70% actually lasted a minute longer, and I noticed the cotton ball was only lightly singed on the top. That's my whole idea here, is how can I make one of these cans not only be reusable, that your wick is reusable, but it's not going to be as much money to run. 91% alcohol, this was about $3.97 for the bottle. The 70% was $2.97 for a bottle. So if I can get this thing to run longer, which would be the 70% alcohol, to not chew up the wick, that'd be this one, save money, looks like 70% might be it. I didn't buy enough to do 70%, so tonight we're going to mix the two anyway and come up to be about an 80% alcohol. I'm going to mix half and half into each. So we'll have 80%. We'll see what happens with this. What I want to test, my theory is, A, how long can I keep this burning, and B, which one is going to be reusable. I was going to use shop towels. They had shop towels at Lowe's. These are super, super dense, but there's a blue dye in them or something. It looks like a blue dye. So I'm not sure if I want to use that, because I don't know what kind of if there's going to be a fragrance or not a fragrance, but a scent or a chemical in here, and I didn't want to be breathing that. So I figured I can always use these in my shop anyway. So for right now, we have cloth one side, we have Bounty paper towels on the other. We're going to try the two, and what we're going to do is use an 80% alcohol between these two bottles. I'm going to fill them up. I'm going to take them upstairs, put them in my fireplace. That'll be part 2. I'm going to show you the results when we're done, because I can't hit pause on this video camera. So I'm just going to do one video at a time. I also want to try taking a can heater inside another can and try lining it with gravel, small rocks, or maybe river rocks, and then lighting it. I'd like to see how the rocks keep the heat in. If the rocks around this will keep this warmer, so if it was safe in your tent using something like this for an emergency now, I'm not talking this is a great idea to have in a tent. No, I don't like open flame in a tent. But if you had something like this and the lid was, say, halfway on, and you can keep some heat in here, and after it dies out, the rocks would stay hot and keep the tent warm. Brilliant idea. I think it'd be great. I just got to try some different ideas. Plus, I think this is a good idea to keep it in this tin, because it'll keep you safer. If you have to move it, you grab a pair of pliers or a stick and pick this thing up and move your fire anywhere you want to go. So I think it's just better, smarter to put it in the bigger can as your backup. Plus, people won't see your flame if you're trying to stay out of sight. If you had to and you run out of fuel, you could use this for water. You could use this for a fire. You could throw some sticks in here and have a fire in this pail and just use whatever you find. You could throw leaves and sticks and throw a fire. If you need to get some more air to your fire, this stuff's light enough that you can punch a hole through it with a screwdriver, get a couple cross vent holes in here, and you have yet another thing to put fire in. Or, like I said, you could put water in it. You could use this to put berries or seeds or nuts or acorns or pine needles if you're going to make pine needle tea. You can go collect food with this. There's a lot of uses. Obviously, a container is a great thing to have when you're out and about, when you're in a long-term situation in the woods, whatever you may be doing outside. A good container is a great idea. So tonight, I'm going to run these two. We're going to see how they work. and we are going to show you the results in part 2. And again, I'm trying to run this thing on the cheap. So for, I think this was about $2. So for $2 for some rags and $2.79 for a bottle. And then this was also $2.99. So $2.99, $2, and say $2.99. So that's $6, $7, $8. Here's $8 right there for a heater or cooker or whatever you want to do with it. You got $8. You bring another bottle here. Now, if you went out and bought a Coleman heater or a Coleman cooker with a propane bottle, once your propane's out, you're done. It's got one way to use it, and that's with propane. What I like about this is I could throw multiple things in here and burn them. I don't have to stick with alcohol. To show you, this is part 2 of the video of the paint can heater. I put a mixture of alcohol in there. It is predominantly 70% alcohol. It's probably about 75% alcohol. I mixed 70% alcohol and 90% alcohol, but like I said, the majority of it is 70% alcohol. So I put the two in there. The one on the left is the cloth. The one on the right is the Bounty paper towel. So I put them in my fireplace and I'm trying it out to see, and man, it gives a huge flame. So you really don't need 90% alcohol, because if that thing is predominantly 70%, look at the flame it's throwing. You can cook on that, you could heat with that, it gives you a pretty decent light, and there's no way you can put that in a tent. You'd have to put it in another can and have the lid halfway on and have a couple of holes drilled around the top, and then maybe in an emergency you can use that inside a tent. But that would give you enough heat to cook on, that give you enough heat to warm yourself up at, and maybe sterilize your water, boil your water. A couple things you can do with it. But at this point, we're just testing these cans and seeing how it goes. It's giving off a decent amount of heat here. And like I said, that flame is awesome. So I would probably kick it back. You may want to mix up a 50% alcohol and a 70% alcohol, come up with a 60%. So anyway, this is part 2. I will have part 3 and show you what this thing is like when we're all done and show you the outcome. I'm going to watch this to make sure that the wick doesn't burn and become too black. So I want to make sure we can reuse this as much as we can. And we're going to do some tests to see how many times we can reuse it. I think I'm getting blurry here. But anyway, maybe I can focus on something else. And it's not letting me focus. But you get the point. Like I said yesterday, when you're done with the alcohol with this thing, maybe you can use it for wood. Maybe you can use it for some charcoal briquette. I want to let you see the results of the test. We are now at 107 minutes. So roughly an hour and 50 minutes. As you can see, this is the cloth. It is now starting to taper down a little bit, and it's singeing the parts that are sticking up. So if it's mostly flat, like the Bounty roll, there's not much sticking up to catch and become a cinder. So remarkably, the Bounty roll did great. It hardly got singed. The cloth singed because I couldn't get it flat enough when I jammed it down inside. And I'm thinking this might be a good time, the way the flame is starting to wrap around the charcoal edges there and singe it a little more. So they both, now see, here I am, I'm touching the middle of the can and it's not, it's warm. Up here, it's hot. Down here, not at all. So this is still pretty decent. If you put this inside a larger can, in a gallon paint can, you could put it inside and you wouldn't feel any heat at all, maybe around the lip. And if you had something that you could put over top of this, possibly a lid drilled with holes, maybe some holes drilled around the top of the gallon, and put it inside, you could get air inside to give it flame, but just enough to keep it going and give it heat. And that way you could even conserve more of the alcohol. So at this point, this could still burn and burn and burn, but we're almost at 2 hours and it's reusable. So what I like about this idea is, if you keep this thing going long enough to boil your water, to cook your food, to give yourself some heat, As you need more heat, you could just open the lid and light it up. You have it a little while longer. If you wanted to, when you cool this thing down, fill it up again. You got 2 more hours and a decent wick. You could probably scrape off some of the charcoal on the top. So at this point, I can't say that one is better over the other. I would have assumed the cloth would have been better. It might last longer because it's heavier duty and it's woven, where this is not. This might have a lifespan. I don't know. So in the long run, they both worked about the same. The one plus over the other, I think this one would last longer, but the Bounty was much lighter. When I did the two, I showed you in the test that this was much heavier. As I pick this up right now, this feels twice as heavy. So if we're worried about your backpack and what you're having in there and you're trying to save weight, that might be the way to go. So the Bounty roll worked great, heavy duty. You can see the flame in there. Then we'll watch this. Here we go. It's out. Out. Let's see if I can burn my fingers. There you go. Now, that's totally reusable. If you take a little knife and cut off the top, you're white again. That cloth should last a long time. It's still pretty heavy from the fluid. So I think this thing will still go and go and go. So I think this is a great idea. Try both. See which ones you guys like better. My next step would be, can I make this safe in a tent? Probably not a great idea, but I'd like to see in an emergency situation, would it work? Please give me your feedback and your ideas. Let me know what you think, and I hope this was educational. Have a great day, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you're interested in any of our products, please go to discreetprepper.com. If you have any comments or questions, please email me at bcreamer@discreetprepper.com. Subscribe here to our YouTube channel, like this video, and like us on Facebook. Thank you. Have a great day, and God bless you.